Meeting of the Board of Works and Safety is called to order. Let the record reflect we have a quorum to conduct tonight's meeting. For the record, Council Johnson will not be here this evening, so if anything does need to be revised or reviewed yet, we'll probably defer that until further review. First item on the agenda is unfinished business, or the minutes. Yes, thank you. The minutes of the regular meeting of November 20th, 2018. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Next item is unfinished business. This is the one we deferred until this meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, it's the approval of the review of the context road plans.
Yeah, and at the board's request, I've actually invited Aletha Dunstan. She's the new executive director of the Fort Harrison Reuse Authority here.
Okay. Welcome.
If you have any specific questions for her, she's here. She's also provided kind of a site plan / overview for the project if it would interest the board to see it.
It would.
Okay.
Okay.
There's one for you too, Tim.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm going to go following procedures. I'm going to get a first and second motion on this before we proceed with any comments or questions. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to
Yeah.
meet several of you. I don't think we've met before.
Yeah, well, welcome aboard, and
you.
I'll open it up, to an open dialogue if these guys have questions. I think this is more just of an opportunity for us to say, hey, proceed with reviewing. Well, no determination has been made if it's the right fit, if it's an easement or right-of-way or any of that,
Right.
much less traffic studies or so forth. So I think this is just us saying to Board of Works, hey, go ahead and check this out and give us back a report before your findings. So,
Correct.
but if you guys have any questions, please feel free.
Well, I think there was just trying to get a better understanding of the scope of the work and the feedback of the residents of the area. I know they've been concerned, vocal on any changes in the area, and just wanted to make sure that there was proper input from the neighborhood on this project.
Right. Yes, this is a project that has been ongoing, I think, for more than 2 years, and I think there is some confusion out there about this road project in particular. I know there was a past road project contemplated that connected Otis to or the loop to Post. This is a little different. This is just going to be a circular drive that loops around the context development in the old PX commissary that really provides some relief to the Lawton Loop East Condo Association, as well as providing some additional parking for Context Landscape Architecture and whatever professional business that they lease the other half of the building out to.
And Context is the new occupant.
Yes. They will be relocating their headquarters to the fort from Fortville, actually. They're a professional design company. It's not, landscaping, traditional landscaping. It's more architectural landscaping.
And that's going to give them additional space in the back.
Correct. And they'll be putting in some of their own spaces too on their parcel.
So have you had a hearing at the Reuse Authority with neighborhood feedback? And
I know since I've started in February, we've had one on site with a lot of the folks from the Loop, and our attorneys and engineers were there. I think that was the second of that type of meeting. We do discuss it in every monthly FHRA meeting, and we just went to the city council on this project a few weeks ago, and we did have a chance to talk to Ellie Martin from Lawton Loop West, who I don't know that in the past the Lawton Loop West folks had been traditionally engaged, and I offered to have a meeting with them as well. I think, again, my understanding was a lot of her questions came from, was this the previous road design? And I was able to explain a little bit about this. So.
If I could interject, I think it's important to keep in context where we are in the process. And that being said, this is what we're voting on is giving you the authorization to start the review process. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions. But following your review, I think you can be more informed too. Once you review it and actually see what it is we're looking at, you can be more informed to talk to the Lawton Loop West folks, East folks, and maybe make some suggestions that may ease their concerns. I don't know. So
Yeah, depending on their concerns.
we don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse either. I mean, we
Right.
want to make sure we're doing this in the correct sequence. And I think first things first, and I've always said, we got to get in the dialogue. We got to get talking about it and find the problems and fix them. So looking at this board, I would suggest that, we give them the authority to go ahead and review it. There's no harm in reviewing it. The harm is passing it. So if, or no harm for that matter. So,
Yeah, I don't want to lose a client by delaying anything if it's,
absolutely.
you know.
And we've already pushed it 2 weeks, so I think we need to,
So it's not going to impede the progress of them build out or whatever they need to do.
This is one step that we have to ensure is taken care of before we can actually transfer the property. But they are on board, and they're actually doing some demo now.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure, and we agree, for full transparency, we will speak to anyone that has any questions now or later in the progress of this.
thank you for doing that.
I would anticipate coming back to this board at your first meeting in 2019 with a recommendation.
Okay.
That would be what I anticipate. So, and I think in speaking with Alita, that meets your timelines for financing and what have you.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. Any further questions?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, I have a first and second motion on the floor. All those in favor of approval of unfinished business for the Context Road plans, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'm going to leave a few business cards. If anybody ever has any questions about what's happening here at the fort or with the Reuse Authority, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thanks
you.
for coming tonight.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. No, I'm fine. All right, moving on to new business. Item A, approval of the 2019 meeting schedule. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Have a second.
Second.
Do you guys have any comments or concerns with the special holidays or special meeting dates, anything like that? No? Very straightforward.
Yep.
No further comments. All those in favor of item A, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Item B, review approval of revised procedure notice PN 16-00.01 body worn in-car camera system. I believe that's you. How are you this evening?
How are you guys?
Great. Let's go ahead and get an approval on this, or first and second. I'll entertain a motion to approve item B. Can we? Yeah,
Make a
let's.
motion to approve?
Yeah, let's just do item B. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Erica, anything you want to share with us?
I believe everyone received the 2 copies from what it was to what it's going to.
Correct.
Do you guys have any questions for me about any of the changes?
Just a brief overview for those who didn't see the copies. What are the major bullet
Briefly,
points?
there was a couple of spelling errors corrected, fixed a few punctuations here and there, but we also added an off-duty employment definition. So that way, the officers know that they don't have to use it when working off-duty employment. We also added that the officers must make sure their body-worn camera batteries are fully charged at the beginning of each shift. We removed some of the things that we thought was going to happen in the beginning but didn't happen. For example, dual triggers. So if the door opens and the lights are on at the same time, that activates the camera. That doesn't happen. It's if the lights come on. Pretty simple things, just things we've learned as we've gone through and added
Got the
and
bugs.
taken out.
Because it's been a year since,
A little more than that, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think we implemented it originally in 2016.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, I thought
At
it-
least the policy, and then getting it to everybody. It took a little bit of time, but we're there.
Cool. You guys have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. I have first and second on item B. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. Next item, since you're still up here. Review of approval of revised procedure notice PN 18-00 compensation and benefits hardship leave. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
Erica?
Briefly, what has occurred, I just want to add, the fire department got theirs approved last week. So fire department, police department, our policies are exactly the same when it comes to the hardship leave.
Okay.
So what we have changed is we reordered everything, so it's in the order as events take place instead of just kind of we're plugging things in. We also made it so that any qualifying active member, they can submit it not just when they've exhausted all their time, but once they've used 480 hours. What we found is that when you have your dedicated employees that do come every single day to work and they're not apt to use all of their time, they're actually not, they're getting hurt by the policy. They're having to burn through all of their time, and let's say whatever illness they were off for, whether it be their own illness or a family member's illness, when they return to work, they don't have any more time to take off just for a family vacation. They've exhausted their 20 years of time, or 20 years of leave time. So we thought it'd be better to give them, you burn 480, then you can come and ask for 480. So that was probably the change that we had. We also outlined what happens when we reach the maximum amount of hours. Basically, everybody can stay in it. If you've been an active member, you can stay in it, but everything pauses. And once we reach 9,520 hours, only new employees can get into it. We've also made it where the officers can have an appeal, one-time appeal to a board's decision, which was not there before. We've removed the chief from having the final authority. We're letting the board, a 3-member board, be the final authority. They get to make all the decisions. And they can also go to the board and request off-duty employment if necessary. Those are the major changes to that.
Anyone have any questions?
I just for, I guess, my own personal, I have a question just about clarity. When you define the hardship leave,
Yes.
or define hardship leave, I think is how it's stated. Yeah. It says in the last line, inpatient care in a hospital, hospice care, or residential, and then in parentheses, home and institutional type care. Is that,
That's
you don't
actually a
have to
definition
be,
by FMLA.
okay, so you don't have to be hospitalized or you can be in your home as in residential. Is that?
It'll depend on the board's decision because it does rest in their interpretation of the policy. So I can't articulate how the board's going to interpret the policy. But we use that definition by FMLA.
Okay, but then on your policy, it's not stated that way. It says that it's inpatient care in a hospital, hospice, or residential medical care facility.
Or
Right. And that has, but the second one is basically your illness, disease, condition that healthcare provider poses an imminent danger of death, terminal, reasonable possibility of death. So it doesn't really, so there's the home, I guess, is not included. I don't know how that, but.
by definition it is.
Okay.
Just by virtue of being FMLA standards, it would have to be.
Yeah, it's definition.
Yeah, but are you asking if we need to change the language in this to include
Well,
that?
yeah, I didn't know if that just needed to be in one, in number one, if it should basically kind of mirror FMLA's definition.
So the way the fire department and the police department have agreed is that if it's defined there, then it has to be implemented within the policy.
So that
it's
supersedes the
reflected.
policy.
It is there. It's covered by definition.
Okay. Okay,
So I guess to answer your question, no, we didn't feel that it needed to be reflected in the other part of the policy.
okay, okay. That was, I think, really the only, I didn't get completely through it all, to be honest with you, but, because I kind of got lost. I was trying to follow what changes were made.
Yeah.
And you answered that, because obviously then you just kind of had to restructure the whole thing. So I was
Yes,
kind of getting lost.
It was very difficult. We almost had to start, and we did. We started from scratch, going back and trying to everything that's on the original policy is in the new policy. It's just those that I mentioned, that's the added part. So everything that's already there, that definition was already there from the previous policy.
Right, yeah, yeah. And that's about as far as I got. And then I was getting, well, wait a minute, I'm getting a little
Sorry,
lost
it was
here.
hard. It was difficult, but everything that was in the original policy is reflected in the new policy with the changes of what I just mentioned to you guys.
Okay, and then the pool reaches, now, can you explain that again, just for how that works?
So we have a rule that if the pool is reaching 10,000 hours, it stops. The pool stays open, but you can't get into it. You can't contribute anymore. So once it's reached that 10,000, we didn't have a rule that said, what do we do when we do hit that 10,000? I mean, how do we? So what we decided was that 590, or what was it, 9,520, I think, were the hours. When it gets to that point, that way we can still allow new officers or firemen come into it. We'll leave it open, that way we don't get to that 10,000 until we've had so many new employees, then it just pauses. And it's still open for anybody to use as long as you're an active member at that time.
Okay.
You just don't have to pay into it anymore because you've already paid so many hours into it.
Okay, so that's, and that comes into play when people just, like you said, they're having to, they just can't donate any more hours, and so they're just having to use it or lose it, or however that, is that how that works? Is that what you were saying, or?
No. So if the bank is 10,000 hours, we're at our max. Nothing, we cannot go higher than 10,000.
Okay,
So what we've done is made it basically a max for active employees or active members into the bank. It's 9,520 hours, I think is what it is. So they're maxed out. Everybody that's active at that time, they're maxed out. They can't contribute time anymore. But once we go below that 9,500,
right.
then they have to contribute again.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, I just was a little confused on how that was.
I understand.
I may even know, I don't understand the I guess this is a new concept for me.
Okay,
So you get vacation time,
we do.
and if you have extra, you're donating to
Not the-
this? Or
Not that you have extra. If you want to be a part of the hardship leave, you can take your accrued time off and donate a certain amount of hours. Your required first time is 24 hours. First time you donate into this bank, and you have to maintain every year
to donate?
to donate.
amount?
So the next year, it drops down to 8 hours. But if you quit and decide 2 years later you want to get back into it, you have to re-ante up at 24 hours.
But that has no bearing on how many hours you may be allotted if you ask.
That's correct.
But, so when you're an officer or a fire person, does your time off, do you accrue it, or do you lose it if you don't use it in a year, or does that
Some of it.
accrue?
So we have different banks of time, and city ordinance covers all that, so each bank is different. There are some that you can't accrue, they just change the city ordinance too for new employees, that they don't accrue anymore, or they only accrue so many hours.
Okay, so this is a vehicle if you're not gonna use all of your time, or you want a safety net, I guess. You donate to this for whatever could happen.
So this policy was implemented because of employees that were getting cancer, and they had no time, and they needed treatment. And we, as a department, wanted to know, what can we do to help these guys that are running out of time? That's what this was made for.
All right, that helps me understand the concept. Just reading this and not having any background,
Yeah.
I was
That's the whole
Okay.
scenario. And the people that utilize it are ones that
Need it.
they're in a hardship and they need help.
So, and it's approved now by a 3-member board.
The board is 3 members that, yeah, they hear the case, so to speak.
And a majority approval kind of
Yep.
concept. And they have 1 appeal the lifetime of their participation.
1 appeal per request.
Okay. Okay, that helps me understand that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No.
No? Okay. Good job, guys. This time, we have a first and second. All those in favor of approval of item C, please raise your hand. Unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you. One more.
Okay, good. Item D, replace General Order 3.21, compensation and benefit dash hardship leave with procedural notice PN 18-00, compensation and benefits hardship leave. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. It's very similar, it sounds.
Basically, it's a general order changing over to a procedural notice
Sure.
being titled as that.
This is the formal portion of it. Understood. Okay. Any comments or questions for Ms. Schneider?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
All right, you too. Oh, yes. Oh, you want to do that now? Okay. Bless you. Guys, we're going to advance forward on the agenda, and you'll see why here shortly. I'm going to move on to the last item on the agenda, item Q, which is the approval of a host sponsorship agreement for 2018-2019 for Gleaners Food Bank of Indiana. Okay? And we're going to try to mass vote on E through, what do we say, O, I think it is, E through O. So let's go ahead and do item Q first. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
I have a second.
Second.
Anyone here wish to speak on this topic? Hi, how are you?
Hello, sir.
How are you, ma'am?
Hello, everybody. I'm Elliot James. I'm the Crime Prevention Director for the City of Lawrence Police Department.
Great.
And I'm here to represent this Gleaners Agreement.
Okay. So did I say this is a 24-month agreement? Is that what I read?
This is a 24-month agreement, yes.
Okay, and it's just solely for the purpose of giving authorization for the police to go to Gleaners to get food to distribute. Is that about correct?
Well, this is called the CARE Program, and
Okay.
it's a bag. They're bags of food that are non-perishable bags. They are, so this 10-pound bag, it's called the CARE Program because we're able to receive, so if we're going to do an outreach event in the community, the day before or a couple days before the outreach event, we can request from Gleaners, we're going to visit 100 homes. So they will provide us with 100 care bags. So this is not necessarily like a food pantry thing. We don't go pick up the materials, they bring them to us, and we distribute them in the neighborhoods.
Right. How often do you see us taking advantage of this? I mean, do you guys have a program schedule, what you're looking forward for the next year or 2 years?
My hope is that we do this 4 times a year, up to either 4 to 6 times a year. My goal is 4 for next year. This year we have already started the program. We went to a mobile home community of 150 homes, and it was incredibly successful. And the residents, the feedback we received from the residents, it was very well received.
Great.
And we're just trying to, do outreach and show that our department, the police department, is a caring department, and that we're trying to reach everyone at, all levels of income and things like that.
Understand. Do you guys have any questions?
I do. I also, well, the way I was reading it, and maybe I thought it was going to be similar to what Indianapolis is doing as far as having the bags available, either in the patrol cars or, I suppose it's at their their choice whether they want to do that or not. But are they going to do that as well, or are you going to have?
That is correct. After, we do our outreach events, then we do have, we always request a little bit more. And the officers will have them in their vehicle. Not, again, it's, voluntary. But most of them are really happy to help. And we don't have to just give one bag to one family. As a matter of fact, an officer did, ask if he could take, 3 or 4 bags to a very needy family that he ran into at one of the mobile home parks, and they were just very happy that they can be able to help them out. So
Right.
they are going to be also in the police vehicles. It is, this did come out of the what IMPD is or has done in the past. and
Right, yeah.
continues to do so. That's pretty much how we're going to.
So if they come across somebody, whether, a call and they feel that they are in need, then they have that available to them to,
Yes, absolutely.
very good.
Especially during this time,
Sure.
between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we wanted to have some of those available, and we considered it a success. We actually ordered 160 bags, and we were able to, we don't have any more left, so we're very happy about that.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
So do you work with, like, the trustee's office that has people that come in for assistance? I mean, are there names that you can gather from different agencies that help? There's the food pantry, and there's people that can't get to it. I mean, is there a system that you can utilize to help
Yes.
identify who could benefit from this program?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to make it a comprehensive outreach program. So we partnered with agencies that serve the community. In this particular neighborhood, the makeup of the neighborhood was 95% Latino and Spanish speakers. So we partnered with La Plaza. We partnered with, a couple of places because of lack of access to health care. So we partnered with the Jane Pauley Center, which is a health center, and then also Alivio Clinic, which is a clinic
Shadeland and.
on Shadeland. Yep, there's, they do a lot of different things there. But then we also partnered with Anthem. They provided bags, toothbrushes, toothpaste whenever we go out and do these outreach events. And yes, definitely moving forward, we're going to partner, with the right agencies to, if we need to. We actually have a staff chaplain that is just very. He really knows where all of the resources are for families and things like that. And when we distributed the food and everything, we did have a list of different organizations where they can access things like food, clothing, and food pantries nearby, and then also healthcare facilities as well.
There's
Mental health as well. There's Rosie Moreno was part of the outreach event, and she was, through United Way, received a grant to be able to provide like counseling to the Latino population in Spanish. So we requested her, and she was available to those families for that type of need.
Do you have identified the food deserts that are prevalent in certain areas and looked at? I mean, you can't. I just was curious if that's.
What we did is we really we're targeting low-income areas. So not necessarily, we're not going very specific into are these food deserts, but we're more specifically just looking into low-income areas. That's
That's a
kind of
great
just how we
program.
defined it.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great program. Okay. Any more questions?
Nope.
All right. I have a first and second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Unanimous. Thank you. Excuse me. We're going to move up one because I overlooked this one as well. Item P, approval of IDAX Dependency Agency User Agreement. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second, okay. Leanne, is that you? How are you this evening?
Well, how are you all?
Great. We have first and second. Do you have any comments or kind of give us a snapshot of what this is and
Basically, it's just a routine agreement between Marion County and the agencies within Marion County that run their own items. So we run all of our own license plates. We enter, the stolen items and everything. It's just so that we can operate in-house at our own agency level. And it's basically just a renewal stating that we agree that, we are a dependent agency within Marion County.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions? All right, that was simple. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Now the big one, Bill. Here we go. Next on the agenda is item E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Let me flip the page.
M.
M, N, and that is all. Okay, so
N.
what
You
did
need
I,
O as well.
did I miss one?
O.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, don't forget
Yep,
O.
sure did. There it is. So item E through O, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Bill, sounds like it's pretty straightforward. We're
Just like the ones that you all have approved in the past, all these have been inspected, found to meet standards, and we're recommending acceptance and releasing the applicable bonds and accepting the next step of bonds.
okay.
Yep.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Anthony?
Nope.
Okay, we've done this before. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
And let's see, comments of the administration. Bill, you have anything you want to share from the city?
Nope, don't have anything at this.
Nothing at all? No Christmas tree lighting or anything fun to talk about, Bill? Was the parade good?
Parade was good. It's remarkable, the floats and everything, but no, I will share with you that we have purchased some additional tanks for our saltwater brine mixture that we use to pre-treat icy roads. We now have the ability to store an additional 7,000 gallons.
Oh.
So, and which we have ordered and should be taking delivery of here very soon. So we're fully stocked and ready for any winter event that comes our way.
Good news. Glad to hear it.
To be bad? Is the prediction, are you forecasting it more?
If the Caterpillars are any indication, we're in for something this year. They're very
take your
dark.
word
They're
for
very
that.
dark on both ends. You're in trouble.
Yep. So, but no, we're ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Any comments of the citizens? All of you? All right, great. With no further business coming before this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Bill, that was additional brine tanks?
Yeah, additional brine tank.